Hi, my name's Alex Witney, and this is Reformation.org. Hang on a second. Of course it's not. It is Conspiracy 101, and today is the secret episode, as I've started to call them, between Season 2 and Season 3. You're getting a sneak peek at the very fancy Season 3 set, and it will look a little bit different, but it's mainly just posters and me. Today we're going to be looking at Reformation.org, a website that we stumbled across during the Tunguska event episode. We didn't actually end up finding the Tunguska event page on the website because this website is a little bit out there. I absolutely love it. We'll go into details of why. It's what happens, isn't it, in these sort of in between series episodes where I sort of just go on a website. Atlantis in Bolivia was the other example. And we just sort of look at what's going on and why this website exists and how this website exists, and maybe read through a few different articles that we've either already covered on Conspiracy 101 or that we're going to cover in the future. Season 3 is, will more than likely be after Christmas at this point. Obviously, if you're watching this in the future. Then how did you get into the future, you time-traveling reptile? Tell me now. Anyway, let's move on. Which one would be best for this one? Oh, it's a bit of a tricky one, that, isn't it? Because it kind of, it's by itself looks amazing, and that kind of hides quite a lot. So let's put me up there. Let's put me down, and then I'll put me up there, so I can read the top bit first. Okay, here we go. Welcome to the Reformation Online. So this is Reformation.org. So he obviously got in here really early with his domain name, because Reformation as an idea, which we'll get onto, makes sense within Christian circles. And this isn't going to be a ha-ha at Christians. This isn't going to be a celebration of Christians. As a background, I would consider myself a Christian. I think there are others that would probably consider me a heretic. So I know a lot about what he's talking about. And we might go into the Wikipedia articles. I've got them up, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. He's got some very, very mixed ideas, and across a spectrum, a real spectrum of conspiracy theories and different things. There's also a little bit of information about him, which will go on, which is always interesting. Again, this website is janky at best. Some of the links I had to go into, the URL and edit so that I could get to them, because a lot of the links don't work. And that's probably one of the reasons why I couldn't find the link on the Tunguska event. I think it was trying to, for the Tunguska one, it was trying to mix the idea of Tunguska and Nikola Tesla, wasn't it? I think that was the angle that we were looking for on this website, but we couldn't find it. Excuse me. So, welcome to the Reformation Online, the most timely and truthful site on the internet. Secured by the Holy Trinity, Father, Word, and Holy Spirit. 1 St. John 5:7. Enter page 2 to access hundreds more, literally hundreds more, timely and truthful articles. Again, does this one work? Okay, so that link works. That's cool. The Alpha and the Omega versus the Pontifex Maximus. This is the entire website. It's just lists of links and just text. So there are some pictures. So, so I've read the top. Let's move me up into the top now. There we go. The Roman Catholic Holy Trinity consists of Jesus, Mary, Maria, and Mohammed. The assumption of, so these are all links onto different articles. So let's click on the assumption of St. Paul into heaven, just so you can see what the articles look like. A lot of them are just walls of text. That's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that as a bad thing. With some pictures, and what you'll find as well is it does have some references at the bottom, and then it'll have other links to other different topics that he's talked about. This is very interesting. So it's copyright 2022 by Patrick Scrivener. That's a pseudonym, which we'll get to in a minute. But usually it has a link here, and that link will take you to the About section, but that link is usually broken. Again, as well as the page 2 link, which I clicked on, which worked amazingly. So that's what you got. Each of these links is a separate page on the website, sometimes broken, sometimes not broken, in that the URL will have something else in it that needs to be removed. So obviously he's been updating the website as and when, up into 2022 at least. And yeah, and some of them are modern conspiracy theories. Some of them are very old Christian, theological. Probably you can sort of go into the conspiracy theory element of it with some of the Christian circles. I'm sure at some point I'll get into those because some of them are really fascinating and interesting. And then what else? Yeah, it's just beautiful. I love websites like this, and I hope they survive the upcoming nuclear holocaust, because this will be a great encapsulation for any aliens who come and discover the servers that this is on and are just like, whoa, humans were weird. So let's just read through a few of these, and then I'll click on the ones that I think are relevant or interesting. So California Freedom, that literally could be anything. Joshua the Giant Killer. 1957 Spoofnik 1. Alien Militia of Jesus. 2 exclamation points. Texas High Treason. Corrupt Edomite Chronology. Again, a real gamut. Holy cow, the real Rishi Sunak was replaced with a double. That's an interesting one and relatively recent, so we're definitely going to click on that. If you don't know, Rishi Sunak is the current Prime Minister, but this video is going out in a couple of days, so that might change. Well, Adolf Hitler, doppelgangers revealed at last. Pennsylvania Senator John Hines was assassinated. October 2023 is Reformation Month. September 2023 is Roma Liberation Month. The Catholics consider Charles III to be their only lawful king. That's kind of true. So we obviously split, and you have the Catholics, and you have the Protestants, and eventually the Protestant monarchy, if you want to call it that, took over. But way back. Oh no, it wouldn't be Charles, would it? It'd be William. So I don't know what he's going on about that. So let's click on that. I'm thinking of William. Basically, Princess Diana, her lineage is back to the Catholics, the Catholic monarchy. They're all inbred, aren't they? So that would be really interesting. I wonder why he's thinking Charles III then. Oh, different Charles III. The new Charles III wasn't 1766 to 1788, was he? The royal murders in Babylon. But hey, that's an interesting fact. Lady Di is the Catholic lineage. The royal murders in Babylon on the Thames revealed at last. It's very similar to the titles that I use in my videos, which is really good. Top secret royal twins Lilibet and Elizabeth. Ooh. George Washington was the great-grandson of King Charles II. August 2023 is World War I Memorial Month. A lot of various... July 2023 is Moon Landing Lunacy Month. NATO, here we go. North Atlantic Terrorist Organization, HQ, is located in British Belgium. Ooh, scathing. Friar Benjamin Franklin unmasked at last. Omega, so many. Corrupt politicians, Henry Clay and Hillary Clinton. Coincidence? I think not. 7 presidents served before George Washington. The Christian Constitution. Britannia in Bible prophecy. Interesting. I like that one. The Militia of Jesus, Maryland Plantation. The Congo cover-up trilogy. Let My People Go, Pharaoh. British Belgium Congo Pharaonic State. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was Britain. Belgium Congo and what is it? King Leopold did was pretty horrific. Mystery Babylon demolished the Twin Towers on 9/11. Have to have a look at that one. Top secret gay global nun Catherine LeBeur. Senator John Hines was. Oh, we've seen that one already. Antichrist changed the Christian calendar. Ooh. Warmongers who started World War I unmasked at last. I'm on Hitler, love Hitler. Patriotic. Walt Disney was an ambulance driver in World War One. Good for him. Union Jack the Ripper. Unmasked at Last. There's a lot of Unmasked at Last. I like it. I might call I might call this episode Reformation.org Unmasked at Last. I think that sounds good. I cannot tell a lie. I did chop down the Babylon tree. To the double trouble, King Henry VIII and his 8 bastard children. 3 heavenly witnesses. Again, this is going into some... just goes into like scripture and stuff. Pope Julius was the first pope to reign at Roma. So then this is really interesting. It's got loads of stuff about popes. So like proper articles about popes. So I have like the 23 popes named John. The 13 popes named Leo. The 8 popes named Urban, etc. 8 popes named Alexander. What a great name. The American Revolution in the Holy Bible. Britannia. President Harry S. Fakeman established the Edomite state of Israel. The Korean War, deadly diplomacy. Joseph Stalin, the Red Cross double. The real parents of Hillary Clinton. George Washington, secret 5th papal. Bloody Mary Tudor was a real virgin queen. Again, lots of like variations in the way it looks. Red on blue isn't the easiest colour to read. Operation 666, I have no idea what that is. So go on that. A lot of stuff about First World War and Second World War. Lots of Hitler stuff. Hitler versus the Habsburgs. Victoria's Secret. Führer Adolf Hitler was her grandson. Brexit and the Three Witches. We will get into some of these and read them. Okay, so this is Reformation, talking about Luther, I guess. Yes, Luther nailed his 95 Theses to the Castle Church in Wittenberg in Germany. And that's what started the Protestant Reformation. That's what this website is named after. The Big Bang. Jesuits would have loved to do a Guy Fawkes on the castle. Again, this is all about stuff like that. Joshua in Canaan Greek. Cool. Alpha and Omega. Must be present in his holy name. Bible code 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 = 10 Downing Street. Again, trying to link various things in the Bible versus various things in everywhere else. And then it comes to here. Again, it doesn't have a link, but I have discovered me about page, I believe. Here he is. So, Patrick Scrivener. So, this is the person who has written this website. And thank you very much, Patrick. I appreciate it. I was born in Papal, oh, okay, Catholic Ireland, on December 22nd. December baby rise up. 1948. That was during the sinister rule of British spy Eamon de Vallery. Again, and that links on to something else. Because I was born so close to the December 25th, the Latin church date for Christmas, my parents gave me the papal Irish name Noel, which is a very common boy's name in Ireland. I was determined to change the name when I finished the Reformation online, and it looks like I'm going to get to the bottom of the strong conspiracy. 2 Samuel 15:12. Don't know. Instead, I am adopting the pen name Patrick Scrivener for all my writings. So there we go. That's why he's called Patrick. Patrick Scrivener, born 1948. Patrick Scrivener, born again 1974. See what you did there, Pat. All right, Paddy Scrivener is the pen name, or nom de plume, of Noel Kilkenny, originally from County Galway. I always pronounce that Galway, Ireland. I was born in the British Empire, Republic of Ir, in 1948, but I was born again in the United States of Israel in 1973. I am smiling because I expect that the British and the papal monarchies, I think that's meant to be monarchies, will soon be gone with all over clerical Ireland. Dozens of schools existed called reformatories, run by the Latin Church clergy called Christian Brothers. These Jesuit-run schools required a steady supply of young inmates, so papal judges cooperated very closely with the Irish Department of Education to ensure a steady supply of young victims to the gulags. I don't know how it is in other places around the world, but the UK, and I guess Ireland as well, has a lot of schools that are run by churches or church organisations. So you have a lot of Church of England schools here and Catholic schools here, and they're usually slightly better than the state schools. Not for any real reason. I think it's more just the types of people who go to them rather than the actual education itself. Like I went to a Church of England primary school, so small, and then secondary I went to a normal state school. But they do require you to be a Christian or a Catholic, and it's very easy to get around those. It is more to do with where you live and who you are. But he's putting forth that they're actually inmates in gulags, when in reality you just sort of, in England at least, you just sit and sing, what's the stupid world Christian songs? I can't remember. I was in a choir, I can't remember Christian songs. In 1960, I was sentenced to 4 years in reformatory or gulag. The gulag was run like any military academy with iron discipline and barracks for bedrooms. I think Ireland probably, with the Catholics, had it a little bit harsher than Church of England primary schools in the Protestant 90s that I grew up through. School was compulsory in Papal Island only up to the age of 14. Instead of you learning a useful second language like French or Spanish, we were forced to learn a useless dead language called Irish Gaelic. That is a strong statement. There's a lot of Irish people who, basically Britain, forced English on Ireland. So a lot of native Irish speakers were lost, sort of. It became uncool, and it's taken a long time for places like Wales to get Welsh back into a place it was before the English arrived, and there's lots of people trying to do the same thing with Ireland and Irish. The language was not that difficult to learn because it used the letters of the English alphabet. The Gulag was run by Christian Brothers founder Jesuit named Edmund Ignatius Rice in 1820. Photo of me and inmate in the Gulag circa 1960. Irish Gulag, South Hill, where I was imprisoned for 4 years. Rice was just one of a multitude of banned Jesuits who were resurrected by Pope Pius VII. These hybrids were not priests, but were still forbidden to marry. Interesting. Certain boys who showed academic aptitude were allowed out to attend the local technical school. I was one of the chosen few. And I attended the technical school for 2 years. At 16, the boys who were not chosen were sent out into the cold, cruel world without any skills whatsoever. Electrical theory and practice was my favourite. During my incarceration in the Gulag, construction of a massive stone cathedral dedicated to Minerva, assumed into heaven, was underway at the site of a former jail. Galway. My favourite subject was magnetism and electricity, but how does it work? And that is why I'm fascinated with the career of a great inventor, Nikola Tesla. Yay! That's how we got onto it in the first place. All the boys lived in the barracks like soldiers, with no privacy. Counted down the days. He was never physically abused by Jesuit Christian Brothers. That's really good, because that is obviously something that comes up a lot in these kind of stories. Managed to escape the Republic. Went to London. Never saw a Bible in Papal Island, but I knew enough to stay away from the Irish bars and save my money. I worked very hard. When I was 67, I had enough to visit relatives in New York. Took a 3-week vacation, rented a mobile home, went north to Montreal and Expo 67. Very cool. I had a great time at Expo 67. Incredibly, James Earl Ray, the man who was accused of shooting Martin Luther King, was undergoing brainwashing there at the same time. It's a small, non-rotating world after all. Now that's an interesting one we haven't heard. Non-rotating. I guess a flat Earth would be non-rotating, wouldn't it? Because the sun rotates around. Anyway. Okay, so it goes into the brainwashing of him. Let's not talk about that. Right, I had my Damascus Road experience in 1973. Damascus Road, if you don't know, was when Paul converted to Saint Paul converted to Christianity after seeing Jesus and talking to him. I immigrated to the land of the free in October 1968. The winters in New York were much colder than in London, so I got very sick during the first winter. Duodenal ulcer. After 6 months in the USA, I had registered for the draft, and even though I was not a citizen, I could have been drafted and shipped to Vietnam. I already had 4 years of experience in military life, so I was really ambivalent about the military environment. I told my army recruiter I had an ulcer, so he classified me as IY, which was a medical exemption. I never considered the ulcer as a major disability, but the Pentagon thought otherwise. Interesting. If I had emigrated at the time of the Civil War, I would have been the first to join General George Armstrong Custer's big brigade. In April 1973, I began attending the Pentecostal church in New York. That was when I was converted to Christ or had my Damascus Road experience. Unfortunately, I did not learn the correct name of the Messiah until 2010. I think that's the Alpha and Omega one, isn't it? The whole idea of Jesus, Joshua, whatever it may have been, or even God having a special name, Jehovah, etc., Yahweh, is interesting, and for another time maybe. I was baptized, 1974. He got married, 3 children. It was meant to be a Protestant church, but they were speaking in tongues. Has a lot in common with voodoo. Hoodoo, you do. Remind me of the Jesuit. I became a US citizen in 1976. Proudest days of my life. Living in the British Empire State and attending the Pentecostal church. I could make no spiritual progress whatsoever. So in 1982, I packed up and moved to Dallas, Texas with my wife and 3 children. Thanks to President Lincoln saving the Union, we didn't have to get passports to move to Texas. Nice. Christ for the Nations. I attended Christ for the Nations Bible Institute in Dallas from 82 to 84. About suppressed books. Okay. Graduation photo. Okay. Free of children's support. I did not have much time for extracurricular activities. Sorry, I know I'm covering it up. But I did learn about the Vatican's Trojan Horse ecumenical strategy and the suppressed works of Alvaro Manhattan and Charles Cinque. When I graduated from the Institute, I worked for a big electrical contractor in Dallas. Due to manipulation of the oil prices, the Texas economy collapsed in 1986, so I was forced to return to New York. One thing I did learn in Texas was how to say howdy and y'all. Since 1996, I've been working on Reformation on loan. So this is, so this is how old? 28 years old? Amazing. Wait, no, 4 plus, 26, I was right. Looks like I'm getting to the bottom of the strongest conspiracy at last. 2 Samuel 15:12. Right, let's Google 2 Samuel 15:12, because, yeah, I know. New International Version. Yeah, why not? While Absalom was offering sacrifices, he also sent for Ahithophel the Gilonite, David's counselor, to come from Gilo, his hometown. And so the conspiracy gained strength, and Absalom's following kept on increasing. Okay, so it's just really a quote about conspiracies, isn't it? 2 things that always intrigued me from the beginning. The origin of New World maps, very interesting. Who was really behind the conspiracy to assassinate President Lincoln? Always going to be conspiracies around any political figures killing. Always will be. My 2 favourite verses from the book of Isaiah are, this is specifically from the book of Isaiah. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Jehovah, and their righteousness is of me, saith Jehovah. That's up from Isaiah 54:17. So shall they fear the name of Jehovah from the west, and his glory from the rising sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of Jehovah shall lift up a standard against him. It's 59:19. Okay, so then you got some links. I'm not going to stay on those because I don't want people writing him, unless you actually really want to. And then back to main menu, does that work? Back to main menu, went to page 2. Perfect. Perfect timing. So, we've got a few things we're going to go through in a bit, but this is page 2. Why he has 2 pages, I have no idea. rather than just it all on one page, because it's all a big sprawling page anyway. So here he's comparing Babylon, the fall of Babylon, with the fall of the Catholic Church. Only the names of demons changed from language to language, and they had a king over them who is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek, Apollyon. I'd really like to know what version of the Bible, because there's lots of different varieties of Bible translations, what to choose, what to omit, what not to omit. It'd be very interesting to see what Bible he prefers. That's usually it, isn't it? It's not necessarily which one they think is right, it's which one they prefer. So, okay, so there's wars, Kennedy assassination, gunpowder plots, it's going back. Say Gender X is coming. Conspiracy was strong in 1066. 1066, if you're not English, was the Norman conquest. So Normandy is kind of like up north, west France, and they came over and just took over England. It's really funny when people feel, oh, I'm English, you get them all out. It's like very few people in England, or even Great Britain or the UK, are actually originally from. We're all immigrants from like Normandy, like North France, Flanders, and Belgium, and all those, especially in the east, where I'm from. It's hilarious that they think that it was like a small little cat cult on this island before the Romans came. It's just, yeah. Murder of Marilyn Monroe, murders, lots of World Cup against Russia, Babylon captivity in 1066, Haji Francis of Assisi. So Francis of Assisi was a famous saint, and I'm guessing he's linking it to Islam, sorry. Nikola Tesla discovered the dome in 1899. If I see one that, we've covered already, or we're going to cover in the coming weeks, or I think it's really fun, then I'll kick on it. But at the moment, no. British Islamic Empire. Knights Templar exposed at last. Top secret McCartney twins. Let's click on that one. Margaret Thatcher was the British Cleopatra. Coming at ya. King Richard the Babylon Lionheart. Daniel the President. Titanist in Argentina. The Nazi Argentina Edom connection. Roma, the city of the twins. Twins in the Holy Bible. Britannia stole Nikola Tesla's AC. Top secret royal twins revealed. Okay. Oh, so this is different. This says the last updated 2020. Copyright is 2014. The world's 6 hottest books are now online. This is really interesting. He has literally just put up books in their entirety, basically. So you can read the book, whatever it may be. So, Religious Beginnings of the Unholy War, the shocking story of the Catholic Church's role in the starting of the Vietnam War by Alvaro Manhattan. Alvaro Manhattan was the world's foremost authority on Roman Catholicism in politics. A resident of London during World War II, he operated a radio station called Radio Freedom, broadcasting to occupied Europe. He was the author of over 20 books, including the bestseller The Vatican in World Politics, twice Book of the Month, and going through 57 editions. He was a Great Briton who risked his life daily to expose some of the darkest secrets of the papacy. His books were number 1 on the Forbidden Index for the past 50 years. Interesting. Get rid of you. We'll do that in a minute. So yeah, he's got some books on there, and then Classic Illustrated Online. Lion of the North. Again, I think these are just books, aren't they? They're just books that he's uploaded to his server. And sometimes this unholy Roman Empire. Sometimes this website does struggle a little bit to load stuff, so I think it is just a very basic server that he's operating from. So I don't want to push it too much. New Testament chronology. Again, this is like, some of this is genuine theology, whether or not it's based in anything that's already been looked over, or whether it's his. It's clearly something he's very interested in, and this seems to be the crux of this website, is this list of events and when things happen and when things might happen in the future, at least from what I can tell. And there's a specific type of Christianity that I can't remember that just does deal with stuff like this, where it is trying to not necessarily talk about like the second coming, although that seems to be part of it. It does seem to it sort of puts Christianity in sort of epochs. It kind of puts them into little, categorizes them down. It's very strange, and not in a bad way, but just that seems to be that. Right, let's go. Right, we're done. That's the first page, isn't it? So here we go. The Assumption of St. Paul into Heaven. This was like one of the first links, wasn't it? So this is obviously something he's either written recently or it says 2022, so it might be. We're not going to read it all, but we'll go down it a little bit. St. Paul is the quintessential resurrection apostle. He wrote more about the resurrection of Christ than all the other apostles combined. After he had triumphantly finished his Christian race, he was caught up, lat assumptio, into the third heaven, where he commenced reigning with Christ on his throne. Apocalypse 3:21. This brief expose was will forever demolish the myth that St. Peter was in Roma and that he established a church there. So that's, yeah, Catholic. The Catholic Church think or treat St. Peter as the first pope. But whether he established a church there or not is kind of a bit... The early popedom is kind of a bit wishy-washy. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 is called the Great Resurrection chapter in the Holy Bible. In 58 verses, the apostle expounds on the glorious theme of the physical resurrection from the dead of the believers in Christ. But now Christ is risen from the dead, the first fruits of them that sleep, for by a man came death, and by a man the resurrection of dead. And as in Adam all die, so also in Christ all shall be made alive. Durham's version. Let's just pause that and Google it just in case it comes up with something weird. It's the Catholic version of the Bible. The Durham's Bible, also known as the Durham's version, DRV, is a translation of the Bible from the Latin Vulgate into English made by members of the English College d'Art in the service of the Catholic Church. When's it from? Two Testament portion was published in Reims, France in 1582. And it's obviously been updated. Old Testament 1609. Interesting. So the Latin Vulgate is 4th century Latin translation of the Bible, which a lot of translations in the future used, because people would read the Latin Bible, wouldn't they? And that was one of the reasons why it was translated in so many languages, because not many people spoke Latin. But that's not how it was written. A lot of it was, Greek, Canaan Greek, and Jesus more than likely spoke Aramaic, might have spoken Greek because of where he was in that part of the Middle East. So there's a lot of translation and sort of moving bits about, and that's where the different translations in the modern times come from, and whether or not to omit certain parts because they might have been added later. It's all very complicated. But very, very, if you're a weird nerd and you like your Bible, then it's very interesting. And I don't have it. I should have bought it. I have the New International Version, the English. There's an English version and an anglicized version and an American version. I have the English version, and it's really thick, and it's like a study Bible, and it has basically every sentence has like a paragraph about it, because it's not just trying to explain what a sentence is meaning within the, by itself, but also within the context of what's around it and the chapter it's in, but also trying to give some historicity to it so that it makes sense, because sometimes stuff seemingly was just added because they look at the older texts and they found quite a few in the past couple of 100 years and it's just not there. Or stylistically it's written differently, or it maybe uses words that aren't really common in Greek but are common in Latin, etc., etc. Okay, so this is... Then Paul lived 2 whole years in his own rented house. Okay, so Lord Joshua Christ. So he does seem to think Jehoshua. Yeah, so Jesus is sort of like a Latinized version of maybe... There we go. The Hebrew name Jehoshua, so Jeshua, is transliterated into Greek and then into English as Joshua. St. Luke, the biographer of St. Paul, saw no need to give the Greek transliteration because it was a very common Jewish name and the Greek equivalent was known for centuries from the marvelous translations called the Septuagint. So Jesus' name probably wasn't Jesus. But I think it really doesn't matter, and most Christians don't care. But a lot of outsider Christians, of which some would probably put me as, tend to use Jeshua or Joshua to distinguish themselves from, say, the Catholics, which is obviously what he's trying to do. There's some really cool pictures. This one's actually quite nicely laid out. 69 AD. Is he a preterist? That'd be very interesting. So there's a few different types of Christianity where you think that it's either stuff has either happened or it's like foretelling prophecy. I would consider myself a preterist in that everything in the Bible has already happened. So there was prophecies in the Bible, but they happened. The fall of the third temple. It does seem to be preterist leaning. Again, I'm not reading all this. But you can if you want to. Reformation.org. Mary. Pope Pius XII proclaiming the Assumption of Mary, Maria dogma. So Protestants, Catholics differ a lot because Protestants kind of just think the Bible is the Bible, but Catholics tend to use other things apart from the Bible. So a lot of more to do with history and saints and the worship of not just God and Jesus, but also people like Mary. Yeah, so he's talking about prophecy and the various different people who ascended to heaven. Oh, this is very complicated. Again, though, references and vital links. So I have links exposed at last. Right, let's move on to the next one. Whew, that was heavy. That was a heavy one. I can see why he'd want it to be there, though. Holy cow, the real Rishi Sunak was replaced with a double. The stealthy British Secret Service specialises in doubles. The number of their doubles is legion. St. Mark 5:9. Ask not who the British Secret Service replaced with a double. Ask who they did not replace with a double. I'm not a double. If I was a double, how would I know I was a double? I'd probably be getting paid, wouldn't I? Holy cow. There is a fakir in 10 Downing Street. Downing Street is named after Sir George Downing, who was a spy master for Oliver Cromwell during the Blessed Commonwealth era. Ugh. So, again, this is British, English history. Oliver Cromwell. We really, for a few years, we weren't a monarchy. We were very, very close to becoming a republic. But instead of being like a good democracy, he basically put himself down. He Napoleoned himself, Oliver Cromwell did, and then he was kicked out eventually. I think it's him and then his son, and then that's it. And then we went back to a monarchy. Okay, so it talks about doubles. So different people, Joe Stalin, double, Ruth Harris. Lots of doubles on this. We've talked about Melania Trump and her double shenanigans. There are other people we're going to talk about doubles, as we hinted at in that episode. So, Beatles were buried at sea. We are going to come back to Reformation.org. I'm going to do Paul is Dead at some point. But here we go. The real Rishi Sunak, born 1980, circa 2000, and then it's 2007. This is a really bad one. Like, he's the Prime Minister of the UK. He is like a really rich brat. And in this interview, where his pictures stills come from, he's like, oh, I don't have poor friends. I only have rich friends. It's awful. So that's the double. And that's the double. Huh. Again, this is Melania Trump. Maybe I just don't have the eyes for spotting doubles because they look like the same person. Ears are a nightmare for the stealthy British Secret Service because everybody's ears are unique. Cranial features are also unique to each person, size and shape of the head, placement of the ears. Problem, though, don't ears and noses just grow continually? Like everything else kind of stops or comes to a point where it's just doesn't grow anymore. But I think noses and ears continually grow until you die. Make small adjustments. So interesting. Every politician should have a blood test to determine if he or she is Rh positive or an alien negative. Uh-oh. What am I? Yeah, I'm O-neg. Oh, no. An alien negative? The alien militia of Jesus. Aliens are all around us. The Holy Bible calls them fallen angels, demons, and evil spirits. Satan is their father, and in Exodus. See, this is what I'm talking about with like the Wikipedia rabbit hole of this website. It was a type of Satan. Since the days of Noah, the aliens have sought to corrupt human with their Rh, rhesus negative blood. St. Peter knew that we were surrounded by aliens, so he wanted us to be sober and vigilant at all times. Be sober and watch. Greek Gregorius. Because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, goeth about seeking whom he may devour. The world's great concentration of human aliens originated in Basque region of Spain. I wonder if that's true. The highest concentration of rhesus negative blood is found in Basque. Their language is weird. Yeah, their language is weird. Evolutionists claim that the Basques are descended from Neanderthal or Cro-Magnon man. 85% of the world's population has normal rhesus-positive blood, whereas the Basques preponderance of negative blood. So yeah, I have O-negative, which means my blood can be given to anybody. So I donate blood a lot. That's why I can remember it. It's not normal for people to remember your blood type, unless you're Japanese. When they think I think they use blood type as like our equivalent of star sign. Black Pope. See, look, you just want to click on it, don't you? So yeah, I'm an alien devil. Cool. So this is Hitler's doppelganger. Hitler doppelganger and Benedict Mussolini. Tall Hitler versus short Hitler. They're doubles apparently. Shorter doppelganger stood on the steps looking down on the Prime Minister. Tall doppelganger. Okay. This is a lot of Hitler. Khrushchev. Buddha. Is that a real Buddha? So they're saying that Buddha ears are a giveaway. So the drooping down of the ears. But I think that is just something that happens. Again, look at all these. You just want to click on them. No. We need to keep this right. Catholics consider Charles III to be their only lawful king. King Charles III was considered by the Catholics to be their only legitimate sovereign from 66 to 88. The British Secret Service sent Queen Elizabeth II to Purgatory in Balmoral Castle in order to keep the Scots in the Union and distract the sheeple on that imprisoned island from the war in UK reign and soaring food and fuel prices. He lives in New York, doesn't he? He's very up to date with Britain. Queen Elizabeth II could easily have lived to be 101 like her mother, her corgis, their therapeutic, and her only concern in life was their welfare. She was not smothered with a pillow in her sleep like King George VI, but vaccinated against COVID, of course. There we go. That's that one then. Tick that box if you had that on your drinking game. Right. Richard Lying Dick Talbot. That's a brilliant name. So you got fake children, Bonnie Prince Charlie. After the death of King Charles III, his younger brother was recognised as King Henry IX. Both pretenders had several illegitimate children, but only a legal heir could be the jure king. In the deadly Game of Thrones, hey, I see what you did there. Any one of them could have been fobbed off as a future emperor of the Holy Roman Empire States of America, Inc. Princess Diana conspiracy. USA in Jerusalem. Okay, next one. Britannia in the Bible prophecy. The stealthy swift leopard is the true biblical symbol for Britannia, not the kingly noble lion. This expose will make all previous apocalypse commentaries obsolete or gone with the wind, including the commentary by Sir Isaac Newton. Daniel the prophet lived at the beginning of the last quarter of Jewish history. All his visions are a continuation or elaboration of the nightmare of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon described in Daniel chapter 2. Daniel was the last prophet? Was he the last prophet? I can't remember. After that I beheld, and there before me was another beast like unto a leopard, and on its back it had 4 wings like those of a fowl. This beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. The Hebrew word for leopard is nemir, Greek pardalis, Latin panthera pardus. It is the origin of the English word panther, which is a stealthy big cat with spots or measles. The leopard symbolised Alexander the Great. Yes, he was. Who is known for the swiftness of his conquests. Okay. Great Red Dragon. 13 Stripes of the Leopard of the East India Company. Dr. John D. 007 designed the 13 Stripe flag for the East India Company. The number 13 was very important to D, as that was the number for the extermination of Israel. The first ship to sail for the company was called the Red Dragon. There's a lot of stuff, but it's not really getting to why. I guess he's linking the leopard to Britain. John Wilkes Booth was an extremely stealthy British Secret Service agent. He could play the role of Lincoln's assassin to the hilt because the doppelganger was killed in his place. For over 150 years, the world believed that he shot the president, not Mary Lincoln. Pistol packing Mary Lincoln. Now that's just a great name for like a punk band. Queen Victoria and Winston Churchill were very stealthy bastards. Kaiser Bill and Bosch were leopard mercenaries. Adolf Hitler and Nazis were leopard mercenaries. So everybody was a British spy. Hitler also wanted a guarantee that Russia would be ruled by a British Secret Service agent and when his Huns invaded again. Okay, so Queen Lilibet was the queen, but she died. But there's a Queen Elizabeth is not dead because she has a twin. Okay. Jackie Kennedy apparently shot JFK. The Clintons are also stealthy bastards. The Leopard prefers the stealthy submarine over all other weapons of war. Okay. Fulfilled prophecy is a titanic faith booster. Fulfilled prophecy is a tremendous faith booster and a vaccine against doubt and unbelief. Inasmuch as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, and the clay, and the silver, and the gold, the great Elohim hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain and the interpretation thereof sure. It's just look how many more links there are now. California Nightmare. From Russia with incest? Ooh. Right. Mystery Babylon demolished the Twin Towers on 9/11. All the brave soldiers and their munitions that defeated Kaiser Bill in 1918 flowed through the port of New York. As revenge, King George V, cousin of the Kaiser, ordered the Bank of England to charter a company that would annex the port of New York to Babylon on the Thames once again. I'm guessing that's London. The Port Authority of London, New York and New Jersey called the towers twins after Queens Lilibet and Elizabeth, and mysteriously demolished them on 9/11. This expose is getting to the bottom, or rather the top, of the mysterious strong conspiracy. It makes all previous Twin Tower conspiracies obsolete, or gone with the wind, because it's based on the infallible Holy Scriptures. So Google HQ was the old Port Authority in London. Towers were prepped for demolition after the 1993 explosion. We will get to 9/11 at some point. The conspiracies around that are numerous. But there was a large explosion in 93, and some people think that is linked. Is he a twin? No, he's an actor. There was a marked increase in satanic activity after 2000. I don't know. I feel like the satanic panic was like 80s, wasn't it? Early 90s. Okay, so a critic of Hillary Clinton died. Third and final mystery, Babylon the Great. I thought London was Babylon. Twin female founders of third Babylon. Warming Pan Prince of Wales plot. Oh my god. Right, next one. Operation 666. During the Six-Day War, that's the Israeli one, isn't it? In June 1967, USS Liberty was supposed to be sunk by Russian MiG so that the Sixth Fleet could nuke the Soviet Union. Armageddon was supposed to begin on June 1967, when the Edomites seized Old Jerusalem from the Arabs. In the diabolical false flag operation, the USS Liberty was supposed to be sunk by Russian jets. However, the USS Liberty refused to sink, and Armageddon was postponed. Well, that's good. When will final operation? Here we go. So this is the timeline kind of thing that I was alluding to earlier. So final Operation 666 begin. Most of the people who participated in Operation 666 have gone to meet their maker, but the demons that inspired them just found new hosts. St. John, the successor to the Messiah, was the quintessential numbers saint. In the Apocalypse, he gave us the number of the beast, 666, and the number 1260 appears frequently. In that case, it clearly symbolizes years. Yeah, the Apocalypse it does have lots of weird numerology and stuff in it, but a lot of it's linked to people who were around at the time, like Caesars and stuff. Catholic monk Joachim of Fior predicted that the third age of the Holy Spirit would begin in 1260. St. John saw 7 golden candlesticks, which symbolizes 7 eras of Christianity. 6 eras called Philadelphia. Right, so these are all the different eras and all that kind of stuff. And there is a type of Christianity that deals with this, and I couldn't for the life of it remember it. So I went on to list of Christian denominations, and I for some reason, I can't really think why, because I spent quite a long time having a look, but I couldn't whittle it down. I couldn't even shortlist it because Christianity is numerous. Still going. There we go. Eschatology is the study of theology in terms of last things. So the second coming of Christ, the end of days, and all that kind of stuff. But no, not one. But I couldn't find the specific Christianity and the doctrine that people have when it comes to this kind of stuff, and the times. I'm sure I'll figure it out at some point. Anyway, top secret McCartney twins. Beatle Paul McCartney had a twin brother called Mike who disappeared around 56, and 62 who was revived. This is awesome, and we will keep that one for Paul is Dead, which we will do at some point. Yes. Nikola Tesla, the man who electrified the world. Okay, so in 1884, a poor Serbian immigrant named Nikola Tesla arrived in the United States, at that time the land of the free. Though he was poor in the world's goods, he was rich in ideas that would eventually light up the United States and the entire world. Does this have anything to do with Tunguska? Did we find this page? I can't remember if we found this page. Electrified Niagara Falls. Wireless transmission of electricity. Yeah, it's a really interesting concept. And that was one of the things that people think might have been to do with sinking the Titanic. Had a very timely death. He was old though, wasn't he? 87. He died at 87. That's pretty old. Tesla's papers were confiscated by FBI. I can imagine that. Let's just quickly Tunguska. No. No, oh, that's a shame. Okay, so it's not there. But let's read. Where's the bit where it says about the electricity? Because that's cool. In 1899, in Pikes Peak, Colorado, Tesla demonstrated the feasibility of transmitting electricity through the earth without the use of wires. He chose Pikes Peak because of its remote location and the availability of electricity from a local power station. So electricity is weird, and it kind of exists outside of like wires. I'm not going to be able to explain it in a way that's feasible. I'm not a scientist, but Google it because it's really interesting, and lots of YouTube videos explaining how electricity works, because it's more complicated than the simple stuff you learn at sort of like, when you're 16 in high school. Wireless transmission of electricity to all parts of the earth was the main objective of Tesla in the famous Pikes Peak experiment. He also discovered that tremendously destructive forces could be unleashed in the earth by means of uncontrolled electrical resonance. So this is the idea, and this is what linked back to Tunguska, and one of the reasons why we found this website in the first place. Tesla discovered that the earth was a very good conductor of electricity, and he could set the earth in electrical oscillation, just like the mechanical oscillation that almost caused an earthquake in Manhattan. Power was supplied to a primary coil by the local power station. The secondary coil was grounded to the earth, producing waves which travelled to the opposite side of the world. The returning waves were discharged through the atmosphere. When Tesla had demonstrated the feasibility of his wireless power system, he rushed back to New York to begin construction on a transmitter located at Wardenclyffe, Long Island, New York. Morgan stonewalled him and created a panic on Wall Street. In 1907, millionaire John Jacob Astor, Tesla's close friend and financier, died on the Titanic in 1912. So that's why it's all linked then, isn't it? What bits are at the bottom? Just one vital link. British Secret Service agent Samuel Insull. Oh, that link works. Right, I think we've come to an end here. It is unbelievably amazing. And clearly the magnum opus. No, what's it called when it's your life work? I don't know. I really enjoy these kind of websites. because they're someone's passion, and that comes through the page, no matter what it's talking about. I feel like we're going to come back, at least in Paul is Dead, but also in others, to Reformation.org and discuss some of the theories that are mentioned. But for now, I feel like that's a good point. If you want to go visit it, Reformation.org and have a read yourself. Yeah. You do that. Season 3 won't be back until after Christmas. See you then.